Okay, I am so excited about tonight. We are going to continue to do these training and inspiration for the rest of the month because a lot of people are in the momentum makers. And so that's already kind of creating that accountability. And then we will be starting accountability groups back up in September, which I'm super excited about. But we want to just make sure we're still doing this time where we're spending every week together, because I think that's so important for our community and for our accountability and just for our beliefs. So tonight, I have asked two of my sweet friends, all of our sweet friends, Nancy and Ashley, to share a little bit of their stories. I hope that you guys are finding belief hearing these stories, also hearing some tangible tips that they've done that have helped them, whether it's been with their business or with their health changes, whatever that may be. But also be thinking as you're hearing these stories, be thinking about, are there people that you might know that could resonate with their story? And then feel free to ask Ashley and Nancy questions. I think that that's something really important and really sweet that we have on this team. So Ashley's going to share a little bit more about her health story, and then Nancy's going to share a little bit more about her business story. So Ashley, why don't you take it away?
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, good. Hi, I'm Ashley Westberg. I live in Minnesota. I'm in Maplewood. My story started back in September-ish or so. I had just like my yearly exam. So went in and kind of discussed with my doctor that I had so I'm a hairstylist. So I feel like as a hairstylist, it's kind of like you just kind of have to be peppy and upbeat and going all the time and just in the mood, all the time, just always saying yes to things, all of that. And so I feel like that kind of continues on into my home life as well. I have two little boys. They are 4 and 6. So at the time they were 3 and 5. My husband, he has his own business. I have my own business. And so we refab houses and build new ones. And so we're just kind of always going. And so when I was sharing with my doctor that my energy levels weren't as great as I would like them to be, and my sleep was really starting to get to me, she was just kind of like, well, tell me more. And I said, well, I have like this horrible hour of like 3 o'clock in the morning where I wake up and I think about everything under the sun that I can do absolutely nothing about at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's like, oh, I really got to work on that credit card, or, oh, I gotta, tomorrow I'm going to do better at getting the boys like less snacking and more like intentional food, or I got to do this, or I got to do that, or I got to do this. And it just was constant. And it was always about 3 o'clock in the morning until about 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning. And the rest of my night, that next half of my sleep was always like it felt really deep, but it made it so that when I woke up, I was just exhausted. Like I never set an alarm. My boys come in to wake me up every single morning. So I was just dead tired. And she kind of was like, okay, what else is going on? And I said, I'd love to lose some weight. I feel like I'm pretty active. I, eat fairly healthy, and nothing falls off ever. So she's like, well, let's test your thyroid. And I said, actually, my mom has a thyroid condition. My grandma has one. My aunts have one. So that's very likely that I would have that. And then she said the other thing she wanted to check was my testosterone. I guess that's something that is pretty common in women, that as you reach like your mid to late 30s, it starts to decrease. But sometimes after children, it happens faster. So goal was like 76 to 150 for my testosterone, I guess. And when I got my lab results back a couple days later, that was at 36. And my thyroid levels were underactive. So she, we had another phone consultation, and she wanted me to start on a hormone replacement for my thyroid. And hormone replacement for my testosterone. And then my thyroid, she wanted me to start on, a thyroid medication. And I just kind of was a little bit hesitant because I knew that that would mean most likely it would be forever. For the rest of my life, I would be on these two things. And so I just said, can I hold off for now and just see what I can change for myself, see what I can change without going on medication. And she's like, yeah, absolutely. You can do whatever you want. However, by the next time you come in for your yearly, I'm going to guess that you're going to want to be on something because it's not going to get better on its own. And I'm like, okay. So I went home and I Googled, and it said gut health was something, doing better with your gut. You're going to probably have it could correct a little bit. So Liz Schmidt at the time was posting about plexus but little things, it was about her daughter Joey and constipation and things like that. And so I just was like, well, I should just, it says gut health, so I should just ask about it, but it probably won't help me. And so she and I talked for a little bit, and then finally I said yes to it. And that was in October. And in the first couple of weeks, I noticed that I wasn't waking up at that 3 o'clock hour. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But like, okay, whatever. And then maybe like week 2, I realized that I didn't need like my afternoon Diet Coke or my afternoon coffee. And I realized like my energy was actually up there. It was good. Sorry, it's getting really dark here. It was doing, I was doing good. And then and she mentioned to me about, starting like to tell people about it. And I'm like, nope, not interested. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. So then, in December, she and I were talking, and I'm like, I like this stuff, but I'm having a hard time spending this money on me. Like, we have so many goals as a family, and I'd rather not, spend this money on myself anymore. And she's like, well, let's host a party. So she hosted a party for me in January, and 10 people signed up that month. And I was like, well, that was pretty easy. Like, let's just coast on this now. Like, I don't really need to do anything more. My products are paid for. We're good. And then I just continued to feel better and continued to get more energy. And she started tagging me into little things with the group. And I'm like, wow, this community of women is really, really cool. Like, it's like, the way that they pray for each other or support each other or reach out to each other or check in with each other. It was just really, really, it was powerful to me. So I decided to kind of go for it, all in. And in January, I just, on a random Friday, my boys were at daycare, and June, my boys were at daycare, and I just called my doctor. I'm like, can I just stop in quick and get a blood test? And she's like, well, sure. Okay. So they like ran, or, kind of did some orders. And so that was a Friday. And on Monday, I got my test results that my thyroid went from underactive to normal. So it had corrected itself on its own. And my testosterone, instead of it being like 36, it was at like 39. So not anything astronomical, but it's going up instead of going down, which that's what I wanted to do. So I'll take it. And that was really cool for me because it was kind of that point of, okay, so this isn't just in my head. This isn't just me wanting it to work. This is actually benefiting my body and doing things that only medication could do. And I'm just not ready to be on medication for the rest of my life. So if I can do this way, I will do it forever. My boys are on the multivitamin and probiotics. They are doing great. My son has, sorry, it's so dark. My son has always had issues with sneezing and like stuff like that. And that has gotten so much better. So we as a family are doing really well with it. And we're very happy that I was able to, Liz talked me into it. So that's it.
And you are now a gold ambassador, right?
Yeah. Almost senior gold.
Will you hit senior gold this month?
Yes.
Look at that. Somebody that's just saying, heck no, not do that. And now she is here, almost senior gold. That's amazing, Ashley. And I just think that the products sell for themselves. I mean, you have an incredible story, and there's so many women out there struggling with thyroid issues and having to be on medication for the rest of their lives, or thinking they have to be on medication for the rest of their lives. So I just hope that you share and share and share and just bless so many people's lives through your story. Thank you for sharing. And then we'll head over to Nancy, and then if anybody has questions for Ash, we'll save it for the very end. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, I got myself unmuted. Well, I'm Nancy. I started Plexus when I was pregnant with our fourth. We had a surprise pregnancy, and I'd seen Emily posting for quite a while, and Tamara, and just we all went to college together, and other people, but I really had not looked into Plexus, just seen it in passing and not really checking it out. But I saw Emily continue. She was about to rank up to Emerald about the time, or just ranked up to Emerald the time that I joined. And it's because, seeing her posting about business. And the Lord just kept laying Plexus on my heart. I was so pregnant with our fourth. Nutrition is my background. So I'm a registered dietitian by education. And that's what I did until my worked outside of the home doing that until our oldest was born. And then I became a stay-at-home mom. And so having a fourth, and kids are expensive, and I knew I wanted to help with bringing in some type of money and financially in our home, but I did not want to go back to work outside the home. I wanted to be home with my kids. And the other opportunity that I was pursuing, the Lord was just closing that door of doing like birth photography stuff with having kids and going to be breastfeeding and all the things. And so so the Lord just kept bringing Plexus back to my mind and heart. And so I began looking into it more, and I called Emily, called Tamara, called other friends from the past that had done Plexus. I knew were doing it for the business, and ones that were not doing it for the business, just products, ones that had anyone I knew that had done or did Plexus, I just called and researched and looked into the products and different things. And my husband was supportive. That was something that, asked him what he thought, and he thought that was great, that might as well give it a try because of, nutrition being my background. And so originally I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to put my husband on the products because he needs to lose weight, and I don't know if I need them. But I was encouraged because being pregnant, just different other people that had said that it made a big difference in their pregnancies. And then even Emily, talking about being a product of the products, being able to experience them and being able to share in that way. And so I was pleasingly surprised with just the difference in energy and stuff that I had being pregnant and taking care of littles, and my son was still waking up at night. And then also I feel like a big thing for me was I had developed some eczema on my legs that went away after I added in the ProBio 5. I kind of just started one product at a time since I was pregnant and didn't want to go through any kind of hard detox or anything. So business-wise, so I made an announcement, did the shout out original post with announcing my pregnancy and announcing I was doing Plexus. So I just kind of started both things together. And it was not like Ashley's, it wasn't quite such an immediate response. I was not active on social media before. I was just one of those people that kind of just scrolled, but maybe posted once a year, the family picture. So I had a lot of learning and growth to do, and kind of initially even some mindset stuff of thinking, well, all my friends on Facebook are my friends from college, and they already do Plexus or would have already done it, or kind of feeling that your network was already flooded or something, which I think is definitely not true. Out of my first 3 people, one was a friend from Ouachita that contacted me. And so that was kind of a shock to me, but that was encouraging to see that your network's not flooded. And there's some people that maybe are planting seeds that you don't even realize, so that they might know about Plexus in your network, but they might choose you and come to you because of your story or your relationship that you have with that person from the past. So I was just consistent in my growth, my business, just consistent in posting, in just delving into whatever Emily said to do, and doing the IPAs, the income producing activities. So reaching out, posting, I joined the accountability groups, and just followed the system in a sense. So my growth was not super fast, but it's been, I guess you could say, kind of a steadiness. There's been seasons where it was like hard, where I was gaining people and losing people at about the same rate as, so it felt like I was kind of stuck for a little bit of a season between, is it super silver and gold? There was quite a while where I kind of the fluctuation, like I had maybe a few people here or there that might share with one person, but no one necessarily that was like building with me or had the drive to do the business. But I firmly believe in the business, in the products, and I would be encouraged by stories of others like Joanna Miller, Emily's power partner, who was not like a super fast to the top, and knowing that I can keep growing, keep learning, working on my own skills, and that it will eventually grow and take off, and just that all the growth that kind of happens along the way. And I think that's something I definitely have grown in with, like customer care, helping people through detox, some of the things that would cause people to quit, or leading with more confidence of maybe just encouraging people a little bit stronger to not give up, and helping them through different things, checking in, increasing my customer care, and then being bolder even, I feel like, in sharing and doing hard things and stories. And I've gone live today and recently, which first time on live on Instagram, this was a couple days ago. And so just continuing to grow. Just a second, buddy. Okay, we'll go in. There was a season, I feel like, where I was doing all the things and wasn't growing. And I think goes back to just the Lord's timing and things. There was a point where I was really reaching hard for a goal and it just wasn't happening. And there was a point where I just felt like, okay, Lord, I still felt like a peace about doing the things, like, when you question, like, why am I in here? Is this working? Should I keep doing this? And I felt like that peace about it. And also, like, there's some reason that I'm not hitting those goals, or being able to go on a trip that Emily had where like the Golds went to Arizona. And it was just the Lord's timing and stuff, because my husband, we didn't know at the time, but my husband ended up getting laid off from his job in that January, that time frame where we would have been gone. I would have been gone. It just would have not been the right timing or season for my family for me to be able to just be like, see you later. You take care of the kids and I'm gonna go off here. And so so I just feel like everyone has a different time, a different season. And then I've seen a lot of recent growth lately, just personally, with people that have followed and watched and are finally reaching out. People I sent a message to and they never responded, and then all of a sudden they comment on a post and say, hey, I want to know more about this. Just seeing just different people's coming and timing. And then I've just been really encouraged. I believe Melissa's even on this call, to have someone that is just excited and on fire and adding and growing and sharing in a way that I feel like is similar to me, just has a great story and a drive, and just even being brave with the growth I do have, like starting my own thread, which in the past I thought, oh, I won't ever need to do that, or I don't have enough people to make my own like thread of my little team. And so I just recently started that and added I asked everybody, like I went and messaged like my whole team, people that have never shared or have even said, got bees or something around me now, haven't even said they're not interested in sharing and things, but they've been willing to be added to that thread. And so I'm hopeful that even that will be inspiring to those people, to see others sharing, to be willing to maybe share because of the blessing of helping others. My big goal this month is to go senior gold, and I'm investing in my business. This month I'm doing the momentum movement with Brooke Hemingway and Emily Gibson, and so that's just really encouraging and inspiring. And I don't know.
Nancy, I mean, I'm just blown away by Nancy, because she every time we connect, she is training. She is doing the hard things. Nancy, will you take a second and share a little bit about your story with Melissa? I just think it's so beautiful, and I just love the way that it is blossoming. Would you mind sharing a little bit of that?
Sure. Well, I guess I did have an Instagram, but it was only to follow seriously one friend from college when I started Plexus. So part of my growth over these last, since I've been doing it like year and a half or so, has really been learning social media and growing an Instagram. So in figuring out how to do Instagram, tell stories, build your niche. And I did different like follow loops and stuff. I'm honestly not exactly sure how Melissa and I became friends, or how I started following her for sure. But she was just in my feed and following her, and just a beautiful mom and story. And there's a point where we had interacted in different ways, just me commenting on some of her posts, or just normal social kind of interactions. And so there was a point where she shared her struggle with milk supply with her youngest, her Peter, who's about 4 months old right now. And so I reached out to her with a voice message.
And let me stop you right there, because let's talk about how bold that is of Nancy, because Melissa, you have like 12,000, 13,000 Instagram followers. So Melissa is a social media influencer. Go ahead, Melissa. How many do you have?
Yeah, I have 12,000.
And so Nancy didn't know Melissa. Melissa's sharing about something happening that she's struggling with. And here comes Nancy. She's like, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. I mean, that just gives me chills. I'm so proud of you. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I think that's such an important part of this story, about you being brave and bold and moving forward in something that's scary. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, well, I'm just passionate about breastfeeding. That's one of my just passions and strong cares, or I would have loved to be like a lactation consultant or something. So I reached out to Melissa, and I will admit that I was scared when I did it. But I sent her a voice message, and just shared from my heart, really, just that I hated to see her struggling and would love to be able to help her, and told her about Plexus being a blessing to different people with their milk supplies. And I guess even offering any other kind of encouragement or help in any way, just with breastfeeding and stuff. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but so I reached out to her. I might have offered to share like a testimony or story with her, because I feel like pretty quickly I shared maybe Hannah's post about her milk supply and the difference it made between her products. So I shared. So Melissa said yes, or that she would listen, or read the testimony or something. So then I sent her Hannah's story. And then, and then she just was like, okay, I really want to try it, because she felt pretty desperate and was skeptical, but willing to give it a try. And so we got her set up, and then just following up and checking in on her, that sort of thing. What I guess a super encouragement to me, or I just feel like we both feel like at this point that it was just the Lord's kindness of directing her to join our team and to be part with me. I feel like it's such a kindness of the Lord, because I've just loved getting to know Melissa more and her heart and her family. But several people actually reached out to Melissa during that time from that post. So I wasn't the only one that messaged her. So so then so I think it's just following up, and at some point just asking, I don't know, Melissa, maybe you can can fill me in or share more, but just maybe encouraging her or asking her at some point if she would want to share, or telling her about maybe the specials if she shared, or I don't know if I invited you to an event. I don't know. What did I do, Melissa? that caused you to want to share or be willing to share? I mean, I definitely feel like I was praying for you to share. I felt like you had a huge influence and that once, and you were seeing really good progress. So
I think you, like, originally you asked me about sharing, like you told me about the referral program, and I was just kind of like, oh, whatever, like, I don't have anybody who would want to start with me. And then, like, one day you, like, followed up with me and you were asking me how I was doing. And then I told you, and you were like, well, have you ever thought of maybe sharing, with your friends and family? And when you asked me that, I just remember being like, maybe I'll look into this a little bit more. And then as I started looking into it, I was like, okay, like I could do this and I could possibly work from home. And you just were always encouraging me, like, and telling me about it. And yeah, I don't know, you just kind of convinced me, but it didn't, I don't know, I can't really explain it.
Okay, but look at that though, like the braveness of Nancy, like an influencer saying, hey, do you want to share this? Because influencers are very protective over their niche and over what they are sharing about. And Nancy just was brave and just said, you should share about this. But then let's take a listen to Melissa, somebody who has this beautiful story and this beautiful, I hate to use the word audience, but like you've got this community around you. But even with that, she's saying the mindset of nobody would want to do this. Isn't that crazy? Like, it's just so crazy how we all are kind of in that same boat. So many of us are, whether we have one Instagram follower or 50,000 Instagram followers, that's scary. But Nancy made the invitation. She had created this trust with Melissa. I am curious, Melissa, because I know Nancy had told me that you had like 4 or 5 other people, maybe more, sharing with you about Plexus. What do you think it was about Nancy that made you say, okay, was it just the timing, or was there something with your communication with her?
Well, I think, because I feel like Nancy, we've kind of like communicated a little bit more, like, like you always commented on my posts, and like, I don't know, I think you sent me a previous message about something, and I don't know, I just like, you were the only one to send me a voice message. Everybody else like just sent me a message, but you seemed like you really knew, like you knew what you were talking about, and you just seemed really genuine. Not that the other people weren't like nice, but I don't know, you just seemed really genuine, and I'm so grateful that I chose you. So
That's awesome. Nancy, I'm so proud of you. I feel like I try to tell you this all the time, how proud I am of you. But just even this, like hearing you step up, just what an inspiration. Like you are a leader, and you are strong, and you are brave, and you are bold, and you're doing the things to grow your business, and you're not giving up when it's hard. This morning, as I was killing my thighs doing a beach body exercise, the instructor said, and I wrote it down because I was like, oh, that is good. And your sufferings will reveal your strength. And not that you were necessarily suffering with your business, but there were goals that you had that were not being met, but you may have been seeing other people meet those goals. And so that may have been hard for you, as it would be for anyone. But your strength was revealed through that. Like you just kept going. You didn't let that hold you back. I'm just so very proud of you. And I think every single one of us feels inspired by you. And Nancy, any training video that you are really finding inspiration on, or any of the customer care that you're feeling really like that you could offer back to the team. I know everybody would love to hear that, on Rising Jewels, just because you have such credibility being a dietitian and just working hard for the past year and a half. I mean, she and her husband, not that you guys put me through the ringer, but you guys, they had like an interview with me. I was on a cruise boat. I was having an interview with Nancy and her husband. It's been a family it that you guys have done. You guys have done this together, and his support and your kids' support, and you're figuring out how to do this with 4 kids and running a solid business. And so I'm just so very proud of you. Does anybody have any questions for Ash or for Nancy?
Ashley, I was going to ask you, what made you keep sharing? Because you said like 10. Well, let's coast. So what made you change?
Liz is persistent. She was just like, why stop it? Like, why stop here? Like, why? And that's when I kind of, soon after that, so that was, let me think about this. Emily, when did you go Sapphire?
April.
Yeah. That was kind of the first time that I was like, oh, wow, like this is more reachable than what I think. And that was it was funny because I was up at my parents' house. It was the first time that I had like left the house since, with COVID going on and all of that, like got out of my house. And we went up to my parents' house in Alexandria, and my sister came, and I was like glued to my phone, just like watching your numbers hit. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I like signed 3 people up that night because I was like, no, sorry, there's not going to be a single promotion tomorrow. Like, it was probably not a very good, fair thing, but that's okay. So they all signed up that night, and I was just watching this happen. And again, it was seeing all of these people like just rally around you. And then it was also people that were chiming in that weren't under you, you know, that they were giving you all of this, you know, just pumping you up and pumping our team up and all of that. And I just thought it was such a cool thing. And I don't know, it was beautiful. And so I think from there, and watching Liz continue on, I mean, Liz and I met in high school, and just knowing her story, knowing her family, knowing what she's done, and she's Emerald now. I mean, I think it just felt that much like closer to home than being like, oh yeah, some people do this, you know. It just, I think that's what kind of inspired me to really start to go for it. So yeah.
That was a day I will never forget. My gosh, that was awesome. Nancy, go ahead.
I was going to ask you actually, so how have you inspired people to share, or do you have people on your team that are growing or sharing, since you've gone quicker, you know, like getting people right away to share?
So January was a big month for me. That was when like 10 people signed up. And then I think February I had like 1. And I was like, Liz, what do I do? I can't do this. And, you know, and I think it's almost been like every other month has been a steady month, or a good solid month for me. I've tried really hard to be consistent with reaching out and following up with people, even if they've said like no or not right now or whatever. I've tried really hard to be consistent with that. And then as far as people sharing, I really only have a few people on my team that have anyone underneath them. And the people that start to share, I guess, I just am kind of like I try to show them, you know, where Liz is and how she's gotten there and things like that. And I don't know, I think that's a good question. I don't know what I mean, I think just being consistent with, you know, sharing stories with them and talking with them and asking them like what's holding them back too, you know, like what, so is it share? One of my good friends, she was just really hesitant on posting on social media. It just wasn't her thing. And I said, then just start talking to people. And so she started talking with coworkers, and she's done quite well with that, you know? So I think that's the other thing that I struggled with too, is feeling like this was a social media business. I didn't necessarily want that. I didn't want to be so exposed all the time. But then I started to realize when you are vulnerable is when other people become vulnerable with you as well. And there's a really cool thing, you know, that happens when you both kind of let those walls down. You create some really cool relationships. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, well, you guys, I feel so inspired. I love this community. Lauren, I'm so glad that you're on. Welcome to the team. Brenda and Lori, I'm so glad that you guys are all on. Thank you guys all, every single one of you, for making time tonight to come and be a part of this. Next week is, let's see, Kara Carrington is in charge of finding 2 speakers next week. So if you just feel in your heart that you'd like to share your journey, whether it's health or the business, then please reach out to Kara. But I'm excited to see you guys again. And we've got Power Hours this week with Hannah. Don't forget, if you add 3, you earn an extra $100. If you add, 6, you get that awesome shirt and another couple $100. And then if you add 9, the very first person who adds 9 on our team will get a free triplex from me that you can then either use for you, your spouse, or hopefully gift it to somebody else that you think could really be blessed by that. And then everybody who adds 9 goes into a pot, and somebody will walk away with a NutriBullet at the end of the month. Okay, you guys, I'm so excited for you all. I love you all, and we will see you later. Bye.